What's up, Conkers? Hope everybody's having a fantastic day. I've got a video here for you today because I want to talk about is Tughlaq Dynasty OP on water right now, because I think the answer is yes. So, I don't think Tughlaq is OP on land maps. I do think Tughlaq is OP on water and hybrid maps, and I'm going to tell you why. So, there are three key things when it comes to Tughlaq that I think makes them OP on hybrid maps. So, first off, we have the elephant economy. And anytime you drop off resources at a worker elephant, it's kind of like an imperial official for China or Zhuji. Of course, it's not as strong as an imperial official, but you can also make unlimited amounts of worker elephants, right? So worker elephants cost a little bit more than your average resource depot. So they cost 75 res, and a normal resource drop-off point costs 50. So they do cost a little more, but they make up for that really fast. Now, why is this so important? Well, on land maps, it's just decent. But on water maps, it's extremely good early for your wood economy, right? So if you take 5 villagers, you're immediately gathering wood. These are dropping off at a worker elephant, and you're just getting more resources, just like an imperial official. You're getting 5% more resources straight off the bat when you drop off resources at these worker elephants. So instead of 10 wood drop off, you're getting 11 wood. And that's a very small detail, but that stacks up a lot over the course of a game. So item number one of why Tughlaq is so OP on hybrid maps right now is the elephant economy. Item number two, in my mind, and this is really a personal preference of why Tughlaq Dynasty is so OP on hybrid maps, is because their fishing boats attack. So a common strategy to deal with a Dark Age dock. One, you can go Dark Age dock yourself, or you can just Dark Age barracks rush and destroy their dock. But you can't do that against Tughlaq. If you try to do that against Tughlaq, they'll make fishing boats, they'll shoot your spearmen. Your spearmen cannot bring down the dock. The fishing boats will kill your spearmen. So there's no land-based counterplay to this Dark Age dock by the Tughlaq Dynasty. The fishing boats can shoot any units that come to burn the dock down. Even once you're in feudal, you really still need rams unless you have a crazy amount of units. You're going to have to get a ram up to bring down the dock, or you're going to have to beat them on water with boats. You cannot just torch these docks because the fishing boats will shoot. Item number three of why Tughlaq Dynasty is so OP on water maps is they have food-heavy units. Right? And so a lot of the time you'll see people go healer elephant archer, but what's really, really good is if you go healer elephant archer raider elephant. And healer elephants and raider elephants cost an extraordinary amount of food to make at the same time. But since you're going to have fishing economy on hybrid maps with Tughlaq, that's just really not an issue, right? So that's something to keep in mind. That's not going to be an issue. You're going to have food coming in. And as we can see here in the video footage, units trying to attack a dock. This is feudal age now, and the fishing boat's pushing them away, horsemen and spearmen. So the food-heavy units, you know, food economy is always going to be much stronger from the water, so you're going to bring in a lot more food and be able to make those units. And finally, which I didn't add as a point of the three reasons that Tughlaq is so OP on hybrid maps, but I will still add this, is they have a specific economic upgrade, and it increases the villager gather rate and kind of the imperial official bonus we were talking about earlier. When you drop off resources at a worker elephant, a town center, or a dock, that you will get bonus resources. And so there's a research called carrying baskets, which you can upgrade, that provides that. And you get that each age. You can research a new one. But in feudal, it's 5%, right? But the big thing is it also applies to docks, which is absolutely crazy. So you've got this strong fishing economy, you get that research, and then your fishing boats are literally, they already get crazy food res, right? They're dropping off at the dock and providing bonus resources for the amount of food that they drop off. So like 40 food dropped off from a fishing boat is going to be 44 food on the dock, which is pretty wild, right? Because that's going to stack up really fast with the fishing boats. Depending on how many fishing boats you have, that will continually build and you'll get more and more bonus food coming in. Once you have that bonus food, you can continue to stack up healer elephants, raider elephants. Raider elephants really are very strong when you have the food income for them. And you can build up a really large force, get down some Tughlaq forts, and then you're going to win the game. So those are 3 reasons, plus a little bonus reason of why Tughlaq is so OP on hybrid maps right now. And the last playoffs of the EGC TV Masters Tournament 2025, Tughlaq was 6-2. So Tughlaq was not played on land maps at all in the playoffs. I went through each match and looked. So Tughlaq was not played on land maps. They were only played on hybrid maps. And they were 6-2 on those hybrid maps. So that's why I think Tughlaq OP is OP on these hybrid maps. And then I want to take an example. We've got some gameplay footage here playing behind me talking. But after this gameplay footage finishes, I'm also going to give you an example of a tournament game I played against Felisberto. Very good player. He beat me 3-1 in the series, but the fact that Tughlaq is just so damn good on hybrid maps, I beat him pretty decisively using Tughlaq on this Golden Heights map. So I'm going to show some gameplay footage there, and then after that I kind of want to talk about what maps you can use this civilization for on the ranked map pool. So let's take a look at the rest of this replay just to see how it finishes up since we're already here. And you can basically see in the replay on Golden Heights, what I was able to do was take water because I have fishing boats that can shoot. You can't contest this Dark Age dock that I threw down. And then after that, you basically just mass up units, right? You just mass up healer elephants, raider elephants, some archers. If you're playing against Knights Templar in this scenario, I did a little cheeky fort drops on the sacred sites. So big push from Knights Templar. Knights Templar, great economy, always going to spam out a lot of units. But with the healer elephants, you're able to hold. And I think something that's super underrated, we'll see next time I get the healer elephants out and push in. Something that's super underrated for Tughlaq is, and I also think this is also kind of overpowered, is each melee infantry within the range of a healer elephant grants him bonus damage. So in the game against Felisberto, I'll show where this gets like out of control when I was using it. And we'll go through that game from start to finish. The other thing I found is really strong with Tughlaq, just in general, is you can build a Tughlaq fort. You can get Governor of Ook, which reduces the cost of technologies. And then when you age up, your Castle Age veterancy technologies, they're a little more expensive, but really about the same price as your normal veterancy techs. So if you just age up, you can get your veterancy techs almost immediately, and then you can push in. And your techs won't even be that much more expensive. See, it's 100 and 255. Like, that's not that much more expensive than it would normally be. And then your veterancies come in instantly because you're playing Tughlaq, the OP Tughlaq. You get a little trample damage in here. And the Raider elephants are just unstoppable, man. So much HP here. What's up, Conquerors? So we got some gameplay footage here that I was talking about. I wanted to walk y'all through a game and what I've been doing with Tughlaq Dynasty. And first things first, I send 5 villagers to wood. I do pull 1 to build a house. So 1 villager to build a house, but really 5 villagers wood, and you want them dropping off at the worker event. Other villager can go build a dock. Most of the time, your water is going to be a lot closer for the dock. So that's pretty different on Golden Heights. So there's kind of 2 things you can do. You can do what I'm doing and build the dock, or you can just skip the dock and go put the worker elephant if the water is really close to you, like on Ancient Spires, and just do shoreline fish. But I still recommend dock. I think dock's really strong here. And we can see with the worker elephants, assistance from worker elephants increases resources dropped off by 5%. So you're just getting more wood because you're dropping off resources at the worker elephant, which is really good, right? The dock actually gets the same icon, so it's kind of weird, but when you get this upgrade for woven baskets, they're using the same technology / icon for docks and town centers, if you take a look at the town center as well. So you can see your town center, actually, when your villagers drop off, instead of 10 food, you get 11 food. And when your fishing boats deposit, they'll deposit 5% more resources. So instead of like China and Juji's Legacy, where it's 1 imperial official supervising 1 resource depot for 20%, Tughlaq just has 5% globally. Like, I don't actually know of anywhere where they're dropping off resources where they're not getting this bonus. So, globally, Tughlaq Dynasty Eco, you're getting plus 5% resources every time you drop off resources. And as you age up each age, you can get another level of woven baskets, where villager resource gather rate increases by 5% and bonus resources dropped off are increased by 5%. So what you want to do here is you get your Dark Age dock going, you get the fishing boats going, and then when you age up, if you can, if you're not under like heavy pressure or anything, like no French Knights, you want to immediately get this woven baskets. And once you've got that and your water going, you're pretty much going to be unstoppable, right? So you're always going to go Dome of the Faith here. The classic build is Healer Elephant Archer, because they want to make spears kill healer elephants. You shoot them with archers. I do like going tri-composition with these guys still. I like the healer elephants with spears, with archers, with raider elephants. It's really strong. And we're going to see in this game specifically, the more melee units that you have in the radius of a healer elephant, the more damage they do. And it scales significantly. So you're going to see here, Felisberto playing the Malians, which is an S-tier civ. Not really a map you see on water very often, but still very formidable civ. Went Saharan Trade Network, so very hard to push into the Malian base with the Saharan Trade Network and Town Center, plus the units he's going to make. But it doesn't matter because we're playing Mr. OP Civ Tughlaq Dynasty, right? So I start off just spamming some spears. Thought I would be able to attack the pit mine a bit, but he builds a wall. So whenever he starts chopping wood here, I really could have moved around to the wood line, I guess, when he runs out of this wood line. But for now, just focusing on a little burn at the palisade gate. Gonna continue making fishing boats out here on the water. And you can see, with 3 spearmen in the radius, our big boy's already got +4 now damage with his tusk. So he doesn't attack very fast, but he's going to do a lot of damage when he attacks. And as I keep building more and more melee units, that's going to continually scale over and over and over again. You know, normally you want to pivot to the wood line here, so there's kind of 2 things here. One is, I like playing in feudal, but, you know, if you ever have to pivot with Tughlaq to castle, it's super easy because your veterancy comes in really fast. against a civ that it wants to go castle like this, I'm trying to push and do some damage, you know, before Malian really gets their timing in. And you can see, when you cannot one-shot units, healer elephants are really, really good because they'll heal your units up. Like, the javelins are having a hard time even killing spears. That does change once there's enough javelins to one-shot units, javelins or archers. You'll see units mass big numbers against you because they want to one-shot these smaller units, right? But what we want to do is continually mass up army. I normally would say you don't need to go siege engineering here, but I decided to go siege engineering just because the wall was going to be hard to break through. So I do go with siege engineering. It's also going to help with the Saharan trade network later. Now I have this big boy, and once you start stacking up raider elephants, you're going to be in really good shape. So, like we talked about earlier, the civ's super good on water maps because their military units are very food heavy. So a raider elephant's 180 food, which that's got to be one of the most food expensive units in the game, apart from, you know, an Order of the Dragon Knight. And healer elephant also really food intensive. So once your fishing economy's going, you can really start spamming these raider elephants out. And I think these raider elephants are really, really strong, dude. So, is my raider elephant out here hiding? Yes, he is hiding behind this healer elephant. So let's take a look at this one. He has 3 pierce damage in Feudal Age, which is really strong. Does an insane amount of damage against ranged units, 36 per hit. Still 18 damage against normal units, which is really good. He doesn't have any melee armor, but he kind of makes up for that with having 235 HP. Also has the trample ability, which you'll see me use, which is really strong. So just doing some fighting, but, you know, again, any small damage done to me is really not a big deal because I have the healer elephants. If he doesn't kill my units, then I heal them up. Grand Fulani Corral comes down in the back, and a lot of people would probably say, like, oh, you should go castle, but no. I'm playing Tughlaq OP Dynasty on water maps, and I'm just going to keep making units here. Just going to keep making units, keep pressuring the pit mine, and look at what we have here. So, I like Tughlaq fort dropping, but you can't do it too early. You know, the original builds coming out with this civ was like, you would gather a bunch of stone and then run to the opponent's base and throw it down. That you cannot do that, right? You might be able to do that in lower leagues. In higher leagues, people are going to have units. They're just going to kill you if you perform that maneuver. So what you do is you get your army up, your army's strong, you can protect these villagers, no problem. And then you throw one of these bad boys down, and you get the men-at-arms cranking out of this. So I see he goes Castle Age. He's going to get his veterancies. And what do I want to do? I just want to keep destroying infrastructure. Healer elephants, really, really good at destroying infrastructure. You want to keep those going out. Accidentally pulled villagers. You know, you want to get your blacksmith upgrades on the backside. Get men-at-arms coming out of this fort. And continue to gather stone with the fort villagers. And at this point, your healer elephants are basically, you know, mini rams. So they're doing a ton of extra damage to building. And you can see, because I have so many melee units in their vicinity, they're doing plus 8 damage. Because I have 8 melee units in this radius. So if you just build a lot of melee units, your healer elephants deal a shitload of damage. This is something I really didn't realize until I was playing them. And I think this elephant formations is like crazy, crazy strong. I don't think a lot of people realize how powerful this technology is. So able to clean up the army here pretty easily. You know, he tried to bring this healer elephant down to no avail, and now it's just going to heal up. Now you have the Emir warriors coming out from the fort. So this whole area is now compromised. Even if you'd have to have a ram to bring this dock down. Any units he sent, the fishing boats could deal with them. Each fishing boat does 6 damage at this point. And healer elephants up plus 14. Plus 14 damage. Goes down a little bit there since those guys moved out of radius. Continually make tri-composition. So this death ball can just kill everything that he's going to make, right? He could make sofas. These spearmen will kill the sofas at this point. Donzos, archers are going to kill the donzos. Javelin throwers, raider elephants can deal with those. Any fight against donzo or sofa that he sends out, healer elephants are going to be able to heal up my spears really nicely here. Second fort drop, and like I talked about, if I did go castle, I went ahead and got the researching of technologies to be cheaper on this one. So I dropped this fort specifically so that when I pushed in to the final town center that I had some coverage from a defensive structure here. So you could even garrison, when you do your final push, you could even garrison the villagers in here, and now stealing my enemy's berries. So upgrading these forts again, so I'm going to have even more men-at-arms coming out of the big fort. This fort's going to be even stronger as far as arrows go. And then at this point, you're just taking down the base, right? We can pause for the final fight. Look at this healer elephant. This healer elephant, because I have 20 melee units within the radius of this healer elephant. This healer elephant is now doing 35 damage per hit, plus 15 against building. I know he only hits once every 3 seconds, but he's doing 50 damage to buildings every time he hits, and he's healing all of the units around him. He has 400 HP, 3 melee armor, and 2 ranged armor. That is insane. I will always pay 300 resources for a unit that is that damn strong. Archers on the back always want to tee off on the spearmen. Use the trample ability with the raider elephants, which just AoE attack, so it's literally good against every single type of unit. It's good against spearmen, it's good against horsemen, archers, javelin throwers. And the raider elephants are just such a powerful front line. You have to have so many units to try to target these raider elephants down without getting just healed right up from the healer elephants. So some of my units have gone down, so you can see less bonus damage on the healer elephants now. But was able to take a huge fight there. You can see trying to shoot these raider elephants is like shooting a brick wall. Even with veteran archers with poison arrow damage, still really struggling against trying to kill those raider elephants. Raider elephants, pretty adept at killing villagers, especially if they had the trample uncharged. And even the Emir warriors, they're not very good outside of the fort radius. But they are still just extra units into the fray, right? Right now, this is making, I think, 13 extra men-at-arms. And if I had to pull back, I could always pull back, and they would be pretty damn strong again. They have so much armor. So you could also do it the opposite way, where your first fort, you do, like, tech or something like that. Your second fort, you do the men-at-arms, so that they're in the radius of the town center. So it's just kind of an all-out pressure play from Tughlaq, I think, when you're on hybrid. Now, I haven't watched how the pros are using this civilization a whole lot. Maybe they're utilizing Tughlaq a bit more in castle. But I think this attack, if you have to age up and get veterancies, it's never a bad idea, obviously, before you push in. But this kind of all-out feudal pressure from Tughlaq on hybrid maps, I think, is going to be super strong. So let's take a quick look at the map pool and kind of talk about the 2 maps that you could use this OP strategy on. If it kicks me out of this game, finally. So multiplayer right now, there's not a whole lot of hybrid maps, right? So I wouldn't advise using it on Ocean Gateway. But I'm thinking Ancient Spires, Four Lakes, and Relic River are 3 maps where you could use this strategy. Now, Ancient Spires, there's a lot of different lakes around the map. So, you know, you can dock drop these different lakes. Your fishing boats can help protect your lakes, right? For quite a while until the enemy has a giant mass. Four Lakes, pretty similar. You know, you're going to go heavy into fishing boats in Four Lakes. And the nice thing about 4 lakes is you can use the fishing boats since they can shoot. You can take like 1 fishing boat and you can patrol the outside of your lake so the enemy can't drop a dock on your lake and start attacking your fishing boats with warships. Relic River. So I think Ancient Spires and 4 Lakes probably the best for this Tughlaq strategy in my mind. And then Relic River I still think viable because you can drop a dock in the middle of that river. It's always kind of the bottom half of Relic River, or sorry, the bottom third. You know, the map split into thirds here, so the bottom of this Relic River has a lot of fish. You can drop a dock down there. If they Dark Age rush your dock, you have fishing boats that can shoot anything that they'll Dark Age rush you with, and the fishing boats will be able to handle it. Even once they get to feudal, you know, they really need a decent amount of units to be able to take down your fishing there. And that's really going to propel your economy with Tughlaq Dynasty. I think Tughlaq Dynasty's got to be one of the best civilizations on hybrid maps right now. If you're trying to play a ranked ladder and really get some W's in, I really recommend, like, you know, first run a couple skirmishes before you jump right into ranked ladder like I do, but run a couple skirmishes, play around with the build a little bit. You know, generally you're still going to want to go your 5 villagers on wood with the worker elephant, your 1 villager out to build the dock, and then you rally to your sheep. So that's really what you want to do here. If you guys have any questions about the build specifically, this is more of a thought process of how the build works and why it's so strong. But if you have any questions about the build specifically or how this works, happy to answer those questions. If you did enjoy this video, drop a like. If you learned something, subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.